Understanding the features and functions of the SLICE6 AIR system connector is essential to maximizing your test experience. Today we're going to focus on 4 areas of the system connector: power and grounding, Ethernet communication, control signals, and additional signals. SLICE6 AIR is our flagship product for making measurements in applications where you either need to store large amounts of data to the onboard memory or you need to stream data at high rates over the Ethernet interface. Understanding the features and functions and connection details for the SLICE6 AIR system connector is essential to taking full advantage of all of the features that are standard in SLICE6 AIR. The SLICE6 AIR has 2 high-density connectors. On one end, we have the sensor input connector that gives you access to all of the sensor input functions. On the other end is the system interface connector. And it's very important that you understand the features, functions, and details behind this connector. Now we have a number of different devices that you can use to connect to the system connector, like this box shown on the table as an example. And we also have various cabling options and ways that you can connect your system in the way that makes most sense for your application. Let's start with power and grounding connections on the SLICE6 AIR system connector. The wide input range of 9 to 30 volts with a maximum power consumption of only 3 watts makes the SLICE6 AIR very versatile. The power input is reverse current protected as well as ESD protected for maximum reliability. The grounding connections on the SLICE6 AIR connector are all shared between the minus power input and the enclosure, so it's basically a common ground system. Moving on to the Ethernet communications, SLICE6 AIR contains a 2-port IEEE 1588 compliant Ethernet switch. This Ethernet switch supports the precision timing protocol over Ethernet to ensure maximum synchronization of signals across numerous SLICE6 AIRs. It's important to note that these Ethernet switches are transformerless, which means it allows us to reduce the size of the SLICE6 AIR, but it also means that you can use a maximum cable length on the Ethernet of 10 meters. And so cable quality is really important when making Ethernet connections. You want to use high quality cable, twisted pairs, and so forth. Moving on to control signals, there are 3 important signals that you need to be aware of. The first is the on signal. Every SLICE6 AIR has an internal power switch that connects the main power to the internal electronics of the unit when the on signal is connected to ground. This allows you to do remote power control for the system. The next 2 signals to be aware of are the start and event signals. Both of these signals will have an open circuit voltage of about 5 volts, and when you connect them to the ground, it will activate those functions. It's important to note that start and event are intended for use primarily in the store in place mode and really have no function during streaming. Moving on to the additional signals to be aware of on the SLICE6 AIR system connector, let's start with the status signal. This is an output signal that is bused with other modules. When more than one module is used, it can also be used to directly drive an LED. When the system is recording, it's active, and when it's not, it's off. Other additional signals that are optional depending on your application include a serial data input, which is a UART with an either RS422 or RS232 signal level interface, an IRIG-B input that will accept either analog or digital IRIG-B time-encoded signals, and finally a pulse per second or PPS input that can also be used for timing synchronization. An example of using these additional signals for timing purposes would be the connection of a GPS system that has a UART output for all of the data that might be contained in the GPS information stream, plus the PPS signal for precision timing. So with those two signals, you get all of the features that a GPS unit can provide. I hope this short overview of the SLICE6 AIR system connector features and functions was helpful. Understanding these features and functions is essential to getting the most out of your system and maximizing your test potential. We have a lot more information on the system connector and ways to connect to it on the DTS Help Center. Happy testing!